Hey everyone, and welcome to the Infinite Respawn podcast. I'm Chicken.
I'm Oak Tree.
I'm Grif.
I'm Baka.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
How's it going?
It's
Good.
going.
Another week, another few days closer to everybody's impending doom. So, I mean, you can say that literally any time, and it's probably true. It doesn't matter what's actually happening. Just think about that for a minute. You never know when your doom is. Ever.
Doom.
Doom.
What games has everybody been playing this week? Okay.
What was that? What was that?
I was just waiting because
What was
usually
that?
somebody takes off, but everybody again.
I think from now on,
You could have
I'm
been
just
that
gonna start
person.
it. I'm just gonna start
What?
it from now on. So.
That's fine. Go ahead and start
I
it.
literally didn't say a thing because I thought you were gonna do something because you made a motion. So I was like, all right, you got this. Good. Chicken's got it.
Is that what we have to do? We have to motion. I'm gonna get my
I'm
fucking
usually the
airplane
first person.
flags
Go
out.
check the tapes, bro.
Oh my god,
All right,
okay,
we're
so
gonna go
this
back through
week
all
we have
300.
played some Phasmophobia, which by the way means fear of ghosts. I learned that this week, what the name actually means, and it's accurate, because I'm terrified of it. I played some with, like, just Baka and Chicken and me, and even that, like, I was like, well, you know, that's not so bad. I think that's worse. If you don't have all 4 people, I feel like it's scarier for some reason. I guess in my brain, less people equates a higher chance for me to be the one that dies, maybe? I don't know. I'd say you have equal chance to die
I would agree
no
with
matter
that, but the other
what,
thing is, you also have no one to take a picture if you do die in order to get your money back.
Well, I mean, there's 3 of us, so hopefully I'm not the last one to die. Like, if everybody
if you
else
go
starts dying, I'm
solo-
not going back in there.
There's no way I would run that game solo because I mean you're just fucked. If you have to bring everything yourself, and if you die, you lose it all.
We did one last night. It was the first time that we had gone to the high school. And it's like, okay, so you've got that 5-minute window at the start where they're not supposed to be that aggressive and whatnot, which, like I've said before, we usually take that time to set up. Okay, so all 4 of us, because Red was playing too, so all 4 of us are in the school trying to figure out, and we split into teams of 2, and it was me and Chicken and Baka and Red, and Chicken found this lecture room that had the cold temperature, and so we're like, okay, it's in here, and it lit up the
Hello,
EMF
Freezy.
that I was holding for just a second, and then I couldn't find it. And so we get the other 2, you know, Baka and Red to come up there, and they come up there with us, and then it automatically, like, jumps up.
No. We went back downstairs.
Did we go
Remember
back
we went to go
downstairs?
get video camera. We went to go
Yeah,
get video
'cause
cameras.
we went to get the video camera and stuff, and before we even got into that room, we had to drop the cameras and hide because
it started
already
hunting.
hit hunting mode.
Yeah.
Because as soon as we came back near that room, the lights started flashing, and we dropped cameras, and we heard the door fucking slam open in front of us, and we're like, what the fuck? So we basically break and fucking hide in different rooms.
I was by myself.
And
it
you
was so
hear this
scary.
motherfucker coming down the hallway.
I
and we're
heard
like,
the footsteps.
holy shit. I was like, holy shit, this one's so aggressive so quickly, because we just ran out of time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god. So, and then it stops. And as I open up the door to go out, everybody comes out of their rooms. Flashlights start going
I did not
again.
even
It's
get
like,
out
oh
of my room.
God.
I was like, somebody needs to come find me because I'm afraid and by myself. And they're like, no, it's fine. It's a 0 because Red had made it all the way back outside to the van. He's like, it's at a 0. I go to open the door, and before I can even get the door open, the flashlight's flickering and I hear footsteps. I was like, nope, back to my corner, turn the flashlight off. Somebody come find me.
Yeah, so it stops hunting again. We get out of the room, and those 2 make it down the stairs, and I get down the hall a little bit more because I stopped and turned back to turn the cameras on because I know it's coming from down the hallway. And as soon as I turn the cameras on, you hear,
Yeah,
and
Baka
then Red's
and I
like,
are
it's a 10, it's a
together.
10, it's a 10. And I'm like,
We almost
Not
made it to
again.
the door, and the door was shut. Baka's like, there's a room right here. Just get in this room. So Baka and I are like hiding in this room together, and Chicken's upstairs still. Oh my god, it was terrifying. We made it, like, as soon as that hunt was done, we ran out. Baka and I ran out the door, because it was literally like, here's the door, and here's the room that we went in. We just, like, straight out that door to the outside. And then, as soon as we got outside, Chicken was coming down. We saw his flashlight in the hall that we were just in, and the door shuts because it's hunting again. It was literally every 30 seconds.
I had my thermometer on, by the way. Like, I was walking down the stairs and it was normal temperature, and I come around that corner and I see them standing at the door, and boom, my thermometer drops, and I was like, what the fuck? It's downstairs? And as I think that, the door slams in front of me, and they're like, get in the room, get in the room, get in the room right next to the door. I'm like, yeah! Then I get into the fucking corner, and I could hear it walking around outside. I'm like, what in the world is this thing? So as soon as it's done, I'm like, all right, I'm out of here. We figured out it was a demon, and we just were like, all right, we ain't getting any evidence. We had no bonus objectives done or anything.
We didn't even,
like,
we just guessed. We're like,
gone.
demons are super aggressive. Let's guess that. And that's what it was. There was no way.
It was a demon or a Yuri.
It was a demon.
And the year, yeah, it was definitely a demon. So
well, the options after we put in freezing temperatures and the EMF were Yuri or demon or
well,
something.
It didn't even light up the EMF all the way. It lit it up to 3 instead of 5, but it wasn't. I couldn't find it anymore, and after that, it started hunting us. So fuck that. I'm out.
Yeah, it was too much. We couldn't go back in because it was basically camping the door.
Yeah.
So we were like, all right, we're just gonna call this one because there's no way we can deal with a demon this aggressive.
That was our first experience in this school too. Like, here's our first time in this big giant place. I bet it's gonna be terrifying. You're fucking right. It was terrifying.
God, I'm surprised that none of us died with how aggressive that thing was.
Oh,
like, that was just
we've died
nutty.
to the less aggressive one doing stupid things.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody died last night though. We did pretty well.
Yeah.
The very first game we played though, I was the one who died. Actually on the stairs, and we were trying to get the ghost to pop up, and I don't remember the ghost's name, but it was a woman, and I called her a fat stupid bitch.
Wow, that's mean, and that's why he died.
Well, as soon as I said that, because I was like, I want to see a ghost in this damn game. But boom, she appears on the stairs and comes up and kills me.
You got what you deserve, buddy.
It's weird though, because sometimes the ghosts will pop out as soon as you start insulting them. It's like the game has programmed keywords or something. But there are other ghosts where, like, we were trying to get one to manifest the other night, and Chicken was in there with it, and it wouldn't do, like, the activity would not raise for anything until he started complimenting it.
Yeah. We did start figuring out that, like, depending on, like, if it's not really reacting and whatnot, you've got to change tactics, because there was one ghost in the living room, because it was walking between the hallway and the living room in this one small little spot, and because it didn't want to react at all, so we just said, fuck it, we're going to start getting aggressive on this thing, and we just start flicking on the lights and everything, and making as much noise as possible, and throwing shit, and boy, it got mad. It got mad all right.
Stressed all because the TV remote.
Yeah, Baka just put the remote outside. Like, yeah, I can't turn it.
Turn on, it turns off the lights on you, so we go back to the garage and we turn it on, and it actually starts getting pissed that you're turning on the lights again, because as soon as we start heading that way, it'll start groaning at you, and we turn on the lights and it turns it off immediately again, and you turn it on and then it fucking you can just hear it yelling and stomping around in the other room. And we go back, and then it turns off the light and manifests in front of us. Unfortunately, it was one of the blinky ones, and Baka didn't get a picture of it, but I have learned that if you're going to be aggressive with them, make sure you keep smudge sticks on you. Because as soon as it gets aggressive, you pop those motherfuckers, and you start waving it, and it turns it around. Basically, it runs away for a few seconds for you to hide. So if you have to be aggressive to get a picture, just make sure you got smudge sticks to cover yourself.
Also, that ghost chased me around the kitchen island.
Yeah. I mean, just put some Benny Hill music behind that and it would have been great.
Yeah, because I was like, I don't know where to hide, and I just kept running around the island, and he was stomping behind me.
Yeah.
Man, I'm just telling you this, 99% of the time, I just fucking find a corner. I just turn off my flashlight and I keep my head down. It's like, oh my god.
That doesn't work always. It depends on the ghost.
Trust me, I know.
Don't tell me that.
I've gotten killed in corners like this. But I don't really know where else to go, because it usually manifests like right on top of me, and I'm just like, please don't kill me. To be fair, I don't bring anything.
We usually set a crucifix in, because especially off the kitchens, you usually have a laundry room. So we'll set a crucifix inside of a laundry room, and we tell everybody that's part of the party, this is where your safe house is at. and so everybody knows that they can go there. But then we might throw another one somewhere else that's just outside of that area. So if you can't make it one direction because maybe it's blocked by the ghost, you can make it the other way. So we have two crucifixes going.
Crucifix doesn't work like that.
Well, it worked. So
that's
what I'm telling you.
Hold on one second.
I think the cat's probably yelling. Either that or one of them is on the kitchen table and he's about to go beat it. Oh, man.
Oh, he was doing a wave motion, like he was waving.
Sorry, I normally don't have to get up and bother him, but the cat was on the table.
I knew it.
Have to
was it
yell at the cat, and I couldn't.
Wasn't it?
I couldn't scream into the mic, so.
They've gotten
Anyway,
very
the way the
bold
crucifix works is it has to be within 3 meters of when the ghost begins the hunt. Like, it has to be on the ghost within 3 meters, which I think is like 9 feet. And if the ghost is within that radius of the crucifix, when it tries to hunt, it instantly stops. So that's why it's so important to figure out the movement of the ghost so that you can figure out where you need to place the crucifix.
It can definitely walk over the crucifixes, though, because Red had put one on the floor under me, and I thought I was safe with it, but I had ended up moving. I went back to the van, that's what it was, and then while Chicken was in there, it was where I could see it on the camera, and the ghost started hunting, and it killed him on top of it. That ghost was definitely like, I don't care about your crucifix. It ain't stopping me. Here's your dead friend.
Yeah, so that's why it's like, because we had one, the one that we had in the living room, we knew the radius of which it was moving because we had a motion sensor, and you would hear it go dink, so that it was basically walking from the hallway back into the living room. And you hear dink, walking back into the hallway, so we would put it in that little zone. And whenever it tried to hunt the first time, and it got canceled immediately.
Did you have your crucifix disappear? Ours disappeared if they've been used.
It has two.
It has 2 uses.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it can stop to 2 hunts.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
2 hunts. Evidently we got lucky then on all of our cases. So.
It must have been following you then, because certain ghosts will follow you. That doesn't mean they will hunt while following you, but if they follow you and then start a hunt while you're near a crucifix, then it will stop it. So you just got to try to find it, I guess. Now that I know that there's actually an unseeable character in that zone, I have a much better perception of how it's moving and whatnot, because I know it's real. It's there.
Getting the
it's just you got to find out exactly where it
is.
is. Yeah, getting them in the right position. You can track their movement, their path, as you say.
Don't use glow sticks at all?
I got one
got
at
a couple,
Baka
I think.
something.
The glow sticks I like because you can see their path. So.
Yeah, the shadow. I think that's why we saw the shadow then, because we had a glow stick in that room.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, then good on me for
because the glow
missing
sticks,
that.
you'll see their path. It'll be like the purpley look that you would see if you had the black light on them. It's
we
that
got
same
salt
purpley
that
look.
we put it.
Yeah, because I'll use the salt. But
Yeah.
saltness, if you're not watching the salt get the footprints in them, you don't know which direction it came from. But with those, you can see the footprints. So, which creeped me out because you could see it walking.
That game was
Like just the footprints.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
That game is so good. I cannot praise the guy who made it enough,
I
because
try
it is
really
just a
hard to
single
be
dude.
brave, and I just can't sometimes. Like, I know in my brain that it's not real, but I guess it's because I'm so good at immersing in games. Once I'm inside that stuff, it's like, it's real and you will die. I can't differentiate. It's too scary.
I just like the immersion. It feels so good.
Wow.
It's got great immersion, but the only thing I don't like, the only thing that freaks me out in the game is not the hunting and doing all that stuff. It's the aspect of when they actually do kill you, those freaking hands coming around like your eyes and like that. Like, I'm like, no.
Yeah,
Especially if I know I'm hiding right.
And dragging you underground and
Yeah.
Yeah. Onto its little death zone and whatnot.
The
The thing that kills me
lair.
the most is the fucking sound. Like, because I'm not super good with sound and whatnot, so it's quiet. And then it'll just start fucking on you, and it's like, oh god. Because I know when it's on what side very easily. If it's very mumbled, I know it's over here. And if it's loud, it's
On your left,
a little
on your
jarring for me because it's on my other side. It's like, oh god, it's right next to me. I'm gonna go the other way.
Well, besides just Phasmophobia, this is one that we can all also talk about because we played it all together this weekend, but we played some Among Us. That game is never not fun. Although I know he doesn't listen to the podcast, but I will 100% apologize to Newbie for one thing. Because all I did was mention that when the O2 was being depleted, or whatever it was, the reactor melting down, whatever the crisis was, he went the opposite direction while all of us were running towards it. And so to me, like, if you're doing a task and you're just standing at your task and not going towards it, I assume it's the bystander effect. You assume somebody else is going to get it for you. But if you're actively going the other way, it makes me... You're a little sus. And I said that, and everybody instantly voted him out. He was the first vote out. Instantly gone. It wasn't him. I didn't even... And I'm the only one that abstained from that vote, too. I was like, I don't know for sure that this means anything. I want to throw it out there to watch him, and we voted him out. Everybody voted him out. I was like...
Well, to be fair, since the voting was anonymous and me and Red were the imposters, I was like, this is a perfect opportunity to throw extra sus on him. And then when it started popping up the votes, I was like, Jesus, these people are dumb. And then it just kicked out. I was like, cool, that's one less person to wheel.
Oh my god.
Well, that's like, I was sitting there, we were having a discussion or whatever. I wasn't even brought up anything.
And then
all
you
of
were
a sudden,
voted
from
out.
nowhere, 4 votes on me. I was like, what? I got voted. I was like, okay, I don't know what happened.
I don't even know
guys,
where that came into play.
What?
Like, I don't even know where that one came into play. Like,
yeah, I don't understand.
No one mentioned Oak.
Everybody has anonymous votes, so they take a chance, which is what makes it a little bit more interesting, is because you don't know who's voting for who, so you just kind of, like, throw some sus on people. Like, Red was doing it smart. He was putting a little sus on him, and everybody was, he was doing it to himself, and so everybody was like, oh, man, someone's looking at Red, someone's feeling a little sus about him, but it was him doing it to himself, so it's interesting.
Well, it is one of those things, too. I guess it could have been that I brought up somebody that was... that it was a possibility it was them, and since everything was anonymous and we didn't know who it was, and I was on the right track, they're trying to get me out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then 2 other people maybe got convinced and popped it in, because there was 4 people that voted for me, and I was
I
gone.
think I was
like,
dead for
okay.
that. I want to say I was, but I can't remember. If I wasn't, I didn't vote for you. But
Yeah, I want to say you were dead. I think you were the one that was dead.
there was the one that my sister and I won together as imposters for the first time ever, which is incredibly surprising. But I will tell you that Baka said that I vented into wherever the cameras are with them.
It was the security.
Yeah, into security with them. But I didn't. And I did not lie about this. My defense, because I was super passionate about it, was I did not use the vent, because every time I use the vent, I get caught. So I don't use them. I did not lie. It was true. I did not vent into that room. I walked straight by him. I don't know why he thought I vented, but they didn't vote me out. So I went to security because I knew they were going to be congregated there.
That was the one I made the argument too. I made the argument there was no killing going on, so I thought Kat was involved in some way, and it was a last-ditch effort to try to get her voted out, because we were, numbers-wise, it only took 1 more kill and we were done with, or whatever. And nobody listened, and the next thing you know, sure enough, boom, popped up both of y'all, and I was like, I knew it!
Yeah, we went to I went to security with you
but...
guys, because I knew everybody was going to be in there, because there's only like 1 task left, and whoever was doing it, or who was not doing that task. And so I stood there.
I was holding on to the last task for that game,
you were
by
the
way.
third imposter. Yeah.
I was the third imposter of that game, because it was Grif and Cat, and I knew it. So I fucking held on to the last task to let it play out. These people could have figured it out, but they just chose not to.
Let me tell you how that went, though.
Knew it was Cat.
The very next game, it was Cat and Chicken, and I only found this out because I walked into a hallway I walked from storage up towards where admin is, and Chicken killed me in front of Cat, and nobody reported it. And I was like, no! He killed me! My husband killed me in front of my sister, and nobody's gonna say anything. It's them. Ah!
I will say... we had that game dead to rights, but Cat refused to kill somebody. I was like, there were 6 people left. I was like, okay, if we get a double kill, it's over. We win. I killed Grif. She didn't kill anybody. Like, I don't care. Like, oh shit.
Nice.
She didn't. All she had to do was kill anybody in front of anybody. It didn't matter. Like, she could have danced around somebody and been like, ha ha ha, ha bitch, shake, 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 we win, and then it would have been all
See,
good.
She didn't realize that. She doesn't understand what the minimum number of people is for that to be okay.
That's why I told her after the game. I was like, if it comes down to something like that, and there's 2 killers left and 5 people, just murder anybody. Doesn't matter.
Anybody.
Dance in front of them, taunt the shit out of them, be like, ha 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 ha, shake, shake, we win.
Yep.
It doesn't matter.
It was Snitty and I got screwed off the bat because the first 3 times we were the freaking imposters.
Yeah,
so the third time there was no way we were getting away with it. None.
Like, geez, just vote these people out just in case at that point.
No shit.
I even made the comment. I was like, if we're it again, can we just
I
call
forgot
it
which game it was, but on one of the games, and I don't even remember who my partner was, but I was the imposter. I was on cams, and I saw someone kill Chicken. And Chicken was like, oh, well, the cams were blinking. Someone will know and come get my body. No.
Oh, yeah.
It was you, the other imposter.
Yeah, I was like, I was in Nav, and I was like, all right, cams are on. Cat's looking a little sus. I bet money if she kills me right here, she's not paying attention to the cams. And whoever it is going to be able to call her out on it. So she just straight up knocked me down, popped me in the back, and I was like, yes, we got her. And I instantly ran over to the cams, and I was like, okay, what's going on? I didn't see anybody out there because as soon as I died, I saw the cam light go off, and I was like,
They're going to the meeting.
Fuck.
No.
Fuck. Ah.
That game is so
That's too
fun.
funny.
Yes, that game is a ton of fun.
Then we played a version of hide and seek too.
Yeah, that game,
Yes, we
it's
did.
too fast. I kept running into walls trying to run away from stuff because it's too fast.
You can slow it down. He had it cranked all the way to 3, but you can put it at like 2.
I mean, I think
And
it
it wouldn't
makes
be
it
as fast.
hilarious at 3. I just wish I could navigate better. I get stuck on the walls in normal speed, so that's not really saying anything. That's just me.
My favorite is because the imposter can't see anything, so it's just you hear a bunch of no, because everybody's leaving trying to get around. It's like, do your task. I do like the meter filling up after, like, in between
Yes.
sessions.
Like when you get the meetings and whatnot, then you get to see how much is being done.
Yeah, and then you find out that your friend's a third imposter and could have won the game for you the whole time because the rest of us already finished our task. Yeah.
All right,
Third
first of all, you people don't know how to have fun in the game because you're all tryhards and whatnot. So I made your asses slow it down and actually play. So
What are you talking about? We're just trying to get the game done.
That's probably
man.
the only
We-
way
we-
that I would have ever won one, so, you know.
We also
Well, that's
played
what
Friday
always
the
happens.
13th.
He always tries to help you, and if you can't
He
figure
always tries to
something
help
out,
me when
that's
he's not
the-
killing me. I mean, it's just kind of one or the other.
Right.
Yeah, we also played Friday the 13th, and all of these tryhards didn't even help Grif when she was Jason, and instantly was like, "We're getting the fuck out of here." They were playing like I was Jason.
Let me tell you,
They
the
don't-
two
We
they
didn't
times...
know
know how
who
to-
Jason was.
All you gotta do is talk to her.
I didn't
She
know
wasn't near
who
us.
Jason was.
That's both
Oh,
times that
oh,
I have been
by the
Jason.
way, people-
Everybody's like, how the fuck do I get out of here? Here's all of the shit right next to the escape, whatever. I'm leaving. Bye. It's like,
Hey, by the way, people, all you have to do is press tab, and you can see who Jason is.
that's true.
Oh.
That's what I did the other day.
Yeah.
Or one of the other games.
I didn't even think about it. I was just
Oh.
okay.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, because you can see who's dead and whatnot and how they died.
I don't know what the RNG was.
But
on
I did
that.
come back and let her kill me as Tommy.
Yeah, I was trying to give her advice on how to do things and whatnot, but by the time I found her, everybody else was already gone.
I got Snitty because Snitty was messing with you, Chicken, by the time that I finally fucking found someone. And the reason I couldn't find anybody is because half the game was already gone and it escaped. I'm like, how is it that when I am playing the counselor, there is literally nothing to be found, but when I am playing the bad guy, it's like, here's the battery, the gasoline, and the keys to both cars right next to the cars, and also the boat's already repaired, so why don't you just get in it and go? Like, how is that every time? And when I say every time, I mean the
got
2
outshot
times
by
that I've tried
cops.
this.
Speaking of the boat, I did Baka and Newbie real dirty. Like real dirty.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I did it to save my own ass, though, and everybody could understand that because normally I'm out for myself in games like that. Unfortunately, I have to give up my life to save Grif later. But Red was Jason, and he was chasing me, and he almost had me. Like, he had me pretty much dead to rights because he was taunting me, and there's nothing I could do to get away. And earlier, I heard Baka and Nuvi go, "Okay, we got the propeller and gas. We can get out on the boat." So I was like, "Oh shit." And I open up the map and I see the boat start taking off. And I was like, "Hey, Red, Baka and Nuvi are getting out on the boat." And he's like, "No, they're not." And I was like, "Yes, they are. All you got to do is look." And he's like, "All right, I'm going to believe you this one time." And he fucking goes over there and kills both of them. And I'm like, I survived.
The best part about that is they went under a bridge. I'm literally walking over the bridge, watching them die over the side. I'm like, all right, that works for me.
Well, then Chicken found the radio, and I did, so he's trying to help me, too.
Oh, my master plan. Like, I kind of came up with it on the spot because I couldn't find anything. The police weren't called. I couldn't find battery, keys, nothing. So I was like, all right, the only method of escape right now is the boat. I can repair it, and I can get the fuck out. And I saw Grif was over there, and Jason was by her, and there were 2 people south. I was like, okay, cool. He's going to go towards the people towards the south. I'm going to move up to the north and try to get the boat and get out. Grif's up there, too. I'll take her. I get up there, and I'm right next to the boat, and I see Red just appear on the other side of the bridge, and he's like, "I hear somebody. Are you trying to escape on the boat?" "No." "Are you sure?" "No." And he's like, "I see you over there." And he starts coming after me, and Grif is like on the other side, and I was like, "All right, you could take the boat." And she starts asking me questions because Red can't hear it. And she's like, "Oh, do I need to repair it?" I'm like, "Yes." And I'm just running, trying to keep him distracted. And she's like, "How do I do it?" "Just repair." She's like, "I'm going to kill you." And she gets it repaired, and she takes off. And I'm like, all right, my job is done here. Fuck you. And I just start fighting him, and he kills me. I was like, haha, though, worth it. Grif got away. And then he got really mad.
I was the only one to survive that one.
Yeah,
yes, you were.
I'd gotten the fuse on that one. It was on the big house, and I ended up putting the fuse on there, and he was inside the house, and I'm like moving all around, and I'm like, all right, I got this. He's gonna go out this back door because you could hear him walking around, and I get around to the front door, and here he comes out the front door and freaking grabs me, and I'm like, damn it! It ends up taking me and putting me on a hook inside the house.
Ooh, gross. I just bought some of my Jason kills, so I'd like to try them out, but I'll probably never get the opportunity.
Oh, it really depends. Because on that round,
as long as Chicken's playing, you're good. He'll end up letting you kill him. So,
as long as Red doesn't because Red said at the end of the game he spawned next to the car, and the house right next to the car had the keys and gas in it.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Yeah, that was pretty easy round because I could just go into the house to get the keys and gas, and all I needed to find was a battery, and then we were good to go."
Well.
Yep.
What else did we play this week? Anybody?
I have played a shitload of State of Decay too, by the way, because
Really?
I wanted to play it a little while ago,
Pass,
and since it's on Game Pass and I have it back up, 1 second.
He's got to go yell at the cat again. I think they're playing with something now because I heard them over here just a second ago. Sorry, our cats are terrors right now, so sorry.
Cats being terrors.
I know,
Cats,
right?
terrors, man. Anyway, to State of Decay 2, I've just been playing because I wanted to play the second one for a while, and I played it a little bit when it first came out on Game Pass, but then I stopped. But now that I've got it again, I've just been playing it. It's fun. Feels like an evolution of the first one. Feels a little evolution of the first one, but, nothing really to write home about yet in it. Just that I've put a lot of time. It's a good babysitter game because I could just play that, pause it, and take care of him as need be.
So the world pauses when you pause?
Yes.
I've never played. Okay.
Yeah, so you can just press escape. Yeah, well, I mean, for the most part it is, but when you press escape, it just pauses everything. If you're playing alone, because you can't co-op in it.
I appreciate games that are like that, where it's like it has an ongoing day-night cycle thing like that is real-time, quote-unquote, for your game. But if you're playing single-player, it allows you to pause that. Thank you for that feature, because I've been doing the same thing with Ark. So.
Yeah.
Yep. I've been playing Second Extinction some more. got to play with No Pants the other night, which was really fun playing with an extra person that was in there. The game is not any less hard with 2 people. But the map rotated again, and before you would have like hard sections, a medium difficulty section, and then maybe 1 easy or 2 easy sections. Yeah, there's 2 easy section, and all the other 5 or 6 are all very hard. And I was like, let's just try to go into a hard section, see what happens. So I went over into that side, and it's like I ended up jumping off this little thing onto a ledge because there was a radio tower that I could set off to while I was there. So I jumped off onto it and looked over, and there's 2 Tyrannosaurus Rex sitting down at the bottom. And I was like, well, they can't get up here where we're at. I mean, there's a ramp, but I don't think they'll chase us. So we sit there and try to kill the Rexes. So we were trying to kill the T-Rexes, and one of them comes up the ramp and comes at me, and I was like, okay, well, I'll just get on this ledge. He can't climb it. So he comes up to the ledge and shoots a fucking fireball at me, a blue fireball.
What?
And I was like,
You're talking about a T-Rex shooting a fireball?
And I was like, wait, when I fought the T-Rex before, that wasn't a thing. And I was like, so I guess in the harder levels, they have extra powers.
They get superpowers.
So you got like
and
superheroes.
I was like, this is like a dragon without fucking wings.
Right?
Like, I don't get it. I was like, Jesus.
That is
and there was
not
2
how
of
they
them.
work.
Yeah, we were able to kill both of them, so we got a good amount of XP out of it. But I was like, holy shit, that's ridiculous.
Aren't you and Chicken gonna play that game soon?
Yeah, No Pants too. It's gonna be 3 of us tonight, so
Cool.
it'll be fun.
I'd have
Should
to
be
install
fun.
it. It won't take very long.
What now?
I said I have to install it. It won't take very long. It's only 7 gigs.
We'll start at like 5 our time, so it should be good.
Okay.
What about you, Baka? You got anything?
Other than those games, our normal thing of WoW.
Baka's been spending all of his time with us. That's right. He loves us.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, that and painting 80 fucking skeletons.
Why are you painting so many? Do you have a D&D campaign we don't know about?
Well,
likes to
technically,
paint.
I've had one sitting on the back burner for years, but
Oh boy, it requires 80
I
skeletons. I
had
can't
bought-
wait.
when Games Workshop was going from the old Warhammer to Age of Sigmar, and they were discontinuing a lot of their stuff, I had picked up a couple of boxes of Tomb King's starter boxes, which are a bunch of Egyptian style looking skeletons and things, and I started working on them at one point, and then got sidetracked with other things, and yeah, I just looked at the boxes and was like, let's put them together and paint them, and
Nice.
just that way I have an army of skeletons for the D&D campaign.
Well, that sounds fun. You guys want to talk about some news? Because there's a few things.
We got a good amount of news, considering compared to last week.
Well, let's get the stupid thing out of the way first. And okay, I say the stupid thing. I'm sure there's more than one. But apparently, the second Vampire the Masquerade game has been delayed, and we don't know exactly when it's coming out, but they assure us it's coming, which at this point I don't know if I believe anymore. But there's also going to be a Vampire the Masquerade Battle Royale. Because reasons.
Okay, first of all, I'm perfectly fine with everybody trying to take their toe to dip into the different genres and whatnot. I want to see how this is different than normal BRs. Because if it's like a vampire free-for-all, like with vampire powers and whatnot BR, instead of just your super generic gun shooting thing and whatnot, that just seems kind of lame.
Half of the interest and flavor of Vampire the Masquerade, though, is the different clans having different things that they're good at, but you're gonna get to stuff like Toreador, which are the artsy ones, and it's like, well, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna give the Toreador that are gonna give them any sort of combat
they're
edge?
gonna paint on they're gonna paint on people and they're just gonna go
or
away.
the Ventru, who are gonna try to argue their way out legally. Let me stop you
I'm
there,
sure-
Mr. Bullet. There are 30,000 laws that say you can't shoot me with that. I don't think that works.
I'm sure there's going to be certain ones that they are going to put in the battle royale, and certain ones they're going to keep out.
But that
like how many different classes are there?
From what this says,
9? Is it 9 clans?
I was thinking that there was like 12.
Maybe it is.
Okay. So I mean, if you keep 13. 2 of them out, but the other thing is because reading this, it says you're battling the rivals and hostile entity who's hell-bent on exterminating all vampires. Is that separate, or is that you're playing?
I think it's going to be vampire hunters, too.
It sounds like PvPvE, though. Because at one point at the end of the 30-second teaser, a robot drops in, and I'm going to assume that is not actually part of the clans. Unless the Toreadors are artistic in the metallurgy area now and have built themselves some mechs.
First of all, I'm super stoked about PvPvE because there is another game which I can talk about, but I can't stream it or whatnot because I got to do the beta again. It's Scavengers. It's that kind of style, and that's really my favorite kind of gameplay because I love having being able to have objectives while having human threats too. So it puts in this combination of gameplay. That's
kind of like a Hunt Showdown.
Part of the reason why I love Hunt Showdown is because it's PvPvE. You have objectives, but you also have to be careful of the live part of the game.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we played that with Snitty, too.
Yes, we did.
You just can't talk
about
what you saw.
Hunt Showdown.
Or no, you can talk about Hunt Showdown. You can't talk about the
I can talk about Hunt Showdown.
That's what it is.
Yeah, we played some threes and whatnot. Oh, man, we had some seriously good games. Whew.
Would you like popping to talk about players in the head sniping from a tower.
Yes. God, that game. The first game we got smoked by 2 people, absolutely smoked. Second game we killed 5 people and escaped with the. That was the third game. We killed the people who killed the bounty and then stole it from them. Which the bounty is the main monster on the map, where if you kill it, you have 2 bounties you can pick up, and there's 3 of us, so the 2 can pick it up, and then we can escape with it, and it gives you a lot of money. So we killed the people who killed the bounty, and then we stole it from them, and then we escaped with their prize, which is part of the game. So,
when it comes to the Vampire Masquerade Battle Royale, I would have to see how they're going to set that up.
Probably
as somebody
poorly.
that plays, I play Spellbreak. Well, I would like to stay positive about it. But I play Spellbreak, and Spellbreak is really well done, and it's a different type of battle royale the way it's designed, in the fact that you do have different types of spells, things like that, as you're picking up versus just a shoot 'em up game. So it is nice to have the variety. The problem is the fact that you have such a saturated market. You're gonna have to make something totally different where people are gonna want to play the game.
Well,
if you're charging it all for the game, you're done.
The other issue I have, kind of like what Grif mentioned earlier, is with the clans. If you look into the lore and the world of Vampire the Masquerade, and nowhere in there does a battle royale fit, because the whole point of the masquerade is to hide the fact that you're a vampire. So no using your powers in public and things like that. If someone uses celerity and starts running super fast and down the road,
all the humans are going to be like, wait a minute, that's weird. And then that breaks the masquerade.
Yeah, that's breaking the masquerade, and that gets that vampire child and killed. They're just like, nope, you broke the masquerade. You're gonna die.
I feel like
I wonder if that's part of it, because it takes place at a city filled with humans. You have to find the other vampires and eliminate them without getting found out. And if you do get found out, then that's what summons the robots, and then you just die, or you have to fight them all and escape and go back into hiding.
Or fight hunters. That could be an interesting. But wait,
because then it becomes a deception style game.
There's still an
issue
with the clans.
Or the robots have eliminated all human life, and you're trying to keep the other cities from doing the same.
There are options that they could do, and I'm interested to see, because if it's just another vampire with guns running around a giant open field shooting each other.
To be fair, that was the end of the trailer. Is 6 vampires jumping off of opposing roofs and shooting each other.
Okay,
Again,
well,
don't draw attention to yourself. Bang, bang, here's my gun. Everybody look up at these things flying in the air, shooting each other. What?
Well, hopefully it's a little better than that.
I have a problem with it. Part of the main draw to Vampire is that you do have clans to choose from, and you're eliminating certain clans right out of the gate because there's literally not much they're going to bring to combat. So why would you pick them?
That's why I said if it's a deception style game, then it would be perfect for all of the clans. Because those clans that are more...
Do you have a problem with Covenant and Spartans playing together in a multiplayer game? Like in Halo? Because you're basically arguing the same thing, which is it's not part of the lore, so therefore it shouldn't exist.
Yeah, but if you're gonna, but here's the deal: is if it's just a game, if it's just a game, why do you have to make it based on the Masquerade? Why not just have Vampire and like Vampire Hunter? You don't even have to stick to any rules with that. You can make your own. You don't have to.
That name recognition.
Yes, that's the problem. It's just about.
It's exactly why they. Well, okay, first of all, there is absolutely no cashing in.
No, because
Vampire Masquerade is not that big enough to be able to cash in on just the name.
But the deal is, a Battle Royale is not targeting the audience that the main game targets, because it's an RPG. If you're a fan of, Vampire the Masquerade, you're probably playing it to play RPGs, not because you're looking for Call of Duty with fangs.
Exactly. Like, the only thing that's going to make this succeed is the innovation. Like, it has to be. Mm-hmm. First of all, you're not going to get the BR group to come into the Vampire Masquerade BR, and you're not going to get the Vampire Masquerade crowd to go into the BR genre. Like, you actually have to make it really good so that there's a reason people need to be interested in it. Like, you're not going to get both of these genres to come together. You have to make this actually something that both of them want to be interested in.
Well,
so you're not going to...
Theoretically, it'll be next year. We'll see, because they still haven't produced the second game yet, so...
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be the latter part of next year, probably. Yeah. So,
so
we got time, and
they'll
probably show us some more footage between now and then.
That is not something I have high hopes for. I feel like that's just weird. Here's this really cool supernatural creature. Let's give them guns. Like, but they have all these cool things that they could use that aren't guns.
In Vampire the Masquerade, your characters do use guns and stuff.
Yes, they can, but a lot of times, but
it makes sense.
The way that I usually play is more of the subterfuge, which I don't usually go for stealth, but you can talk your way out of a lot of shit. So I usually go with the
Hence why if it's a deception style, it would be perfect, because then you can do a little bit of everything.
Well,
make it a bit like Among Us, so there's two vampires and no one knows who they are.
Okay, see, that would be fun. That would be a fun game.
See, and then you get the vampires have to kill so many innocent people, and then they get super powerful, and then they can start killing the hunters.
No, we'll see.
So it's kind of like Evolved, where you have to eat a bunch of the monsters and whatnot before you get strong, and then you can fight back against the hunters. Like, there are options in which they can make it work. It's just, are they going to listen to me, or are they just going to do it wrong?
We'll find out. We've got a year, so we'll find out.
Well, since Chicken is the authority on everything, I want to get your take on this because you're a fan. So the new Resident Evil series that's coming to Netflix is going to be canon to the game and everything. How do you feel about that? You optimistic? Feeling good about that? You think it's dumb?
It depends on. Well, you gotta understand that we've got two different timelines in the Resident Evil universe now, because you have the RE remake universe and you have the RE universe, because the remake universe is different than the regular, like the original timeline. Well, how do
I know which one this one's canon for?
If I had to guess,
this is based on remake.
Yeah, I was about to say, if I had to guess, this is technically part of the reboot side of things. Which I think this is going to link up with 7, which is also going to link up with 8. Like 7 feels like it falls out of the main timeline. It slides into the remake timeline, which I think the 8 will slide in here, and the movie will slide in over on the left side too. Okay. So
the best part of that entire story was your hand motion.
Yeah, over here, and you have these, and you take this one and slide
on,
it over
wax
here.
Off, done.
The 2 screenshots from it look pretty good. I mean, I like them.
Yeah, I mean, Leon looks like Leon. Claire looks like Claire.
Yeah, they didn't try to go all crazy, like Chris from Resident Evil 7.
Yeah. Also, you have the original Resident Evil live action movies, which are a different universe.
So
they have
there are
nothing
three
to
timelines.
Yeah, there's 3 timelines. You've got the Resident Evil movies, the Resident Evil original timeline, the Resident Evil remake timeline.
So they pulled a Zelda. Got it.
Pretty much. Like,
Yeah, but with
Like
Zelda, you need like a spider web chart.
They shared a timeline up to a point, and then it branches off into 3.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that is part of the reason, because I think part of the reason of that is that it started getting out of hand around 5 and 6. They're like, okay, we're taking this too far off the rails of what it originally was, and then they redid Resident Evil 2, and they're like, that's what we were supposed to be doing, and everyone's like, yes, thank you. And then they came out with Resident Evil 3, and everyone's like, why did you only give us a quarter of a game?
Yeah, that's disappointing.
Yes, it is extremely. Like, the gameplay is so good. But the Nemesis being a wimp as he is, and just a cinematic piece, sucks, because he's only there for a few specific encounters, and it sucks because he's not as
the intimidation factor is gone with him.
Exactly. You could knock him down and pick up whatever the upgrade he has, but then he gets back up.
It wasn't like Mr. X.
No, Mr. X was scary. Like, that ever-present stomp, stomp, stomp. Yeah, that adds a whole layer of stress to the game.
Like, I don't know.
I still like the Tom and Jerry remake, reskin that someone did.
Oh my god.
They put Tom as Mr. X, and he's just stomping around, and they've got the Tom and Jerry music playing.
PC mods for the win.
That's good.
That is good.
That's good.
Oh man.
A game we've all been looking forward to is Cyberpunk 2077. It's been delayed yet again. Now it's been delayed 21 days, which puts it at December the 10th. I think a lot of us kind of wanted this to happen again, based on the fact that these people were working their asses off to try to get this game put out when it was supposed to. They were working like 80 hours a week, and they were told
they weren't going to be doing that.
Yeah, I'm sure they're still going to be doing it. So
it's because it's money right now. They're working on the patch for the game, 100%.
Well, they're probably
they start fixing something and it breaks something else.
Yeah, it's probably the patch and having to maintain parity across so many platforms, because you've got to have it working on everything from the vanilla Xbox Ones and PS4s all the way up through all of the series of the new consoles, plus PC. So I think that's probably part of it, is maintaining. You fix one thing that fixes an issue on the Xbox Series X, but it breaks something on like the PS4 version of it, and so you've got to go back and fix that.
That's 9 different patches that they have to come out with.
I think a lot of developers are struggling with that right now.
Like a lot of them aren't even at home. I mean,
can't even walk to your neighbor's desk and be like, "Yo, I'm having trouble with this. Can you come to my desk and help me figure this out?" It's like, "Hey, I got to call so and so. I got to screen share, and hopefully they're not working on something that's too important. And then we've got to try to work through this, and they can't do it. They have to teach you how to do it. I guess if they do remote.
They probably have remote.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they do. It's just an issue of like, hey, I know you're working on your other thing, and I could usually just have you come and take a look at it, but now I've got to zip this file, send it to you, let you take a look at it, see what you think, and then send it back to me, instead of it just being something that you could walk across the hall and deal with. Thanks, COVID.
And I think it's in this case, CD Projekt Red knows the fact that their game is one of the most anticipated games that's out there, and I think that they need to make it as perfect as they possibly can based on
the hype that's around
anticipation. Yeah. I mean, you got a hype train like crazy, and unfortunately, it does look as though you've got a group of people that are threatening people's lives because their fucking video game isn't coming out when it was promised to them.
Look, if you have literally nothing else going in your life aside from that you're ready to play a video game, and if it gets delayed, you feel the need to actually threaten folks, you need to reevaluate your entire life, because something is very wrong on your end. Not the developer that delayed the game, because they're trying to work to make the product fixed and a workable product when it comes out. You need to reevaluate yourself. Stop typing on Twitter, get off of Facebook, shut down all of your social media, and take a little me time, because you obviously have something broken that needs to be fixed.
I mean, if
Go to
they
therapy,
wanna,
please.
Yes.
If they want to complain about delayed games, I haven't talked to the people who waited for that Duke Nukem game forever.
It was Duke Nukem Forever. But, I mean, if that's all, like, the game being delayed ruins your entire life, there's something wrong, and you need some professional help.
They're just a special kind of piece of shit that will do something like that.
Yeah.
Like, they've got nothing else, or they're just trying to be trolls or assholes or whatever.
Yeah, obviously
But,
they have enough stress on their plates because they're trying to get this game ready to launch, and they're having to delay it again. They don't want to delay it. It's not like it's fun for them to be like, okay, let's go to the internet again and tell them that we have to make them wait. That's not fun for them. And so for you to be like, I'm going to be funny and look at this, I'm going to send them a death threat. There's literally nothing funny about that. And if you're DMing them, you're the only one that knows about it. You're not famous because of it. We don't even know any of your names. We just know that this is a thing that's happening. You're not serving yourself or anybody else. Don't be garbage.
It's hard for garbage to not be garbage.
I don't understand that mindset. I just don't.
Yeah, it's highly frustrating because you wish you could just look at people like that and be like, are you fucking stupid? Like,
Yes,
is your life
they are.
so revolved around this one thing that you have to threaten? Like, I would love to take one of those fucking people and put him right in front of a game developer and be like, go ahead, say what you wrote to him to his face. Let's see if you can fucking do that. Or are you just a fucking keyboard warrior trying to write big threats, thinking you're gonna feel tough for it? It's really frustrating because there's no point.
Yeah. I don't know.
From highly anticipated games that have been delayed, we're moving on to a game that was highly anticipated, came out with really bad reviews, and is now being completely revamped to Anthem 2.0. And they've just revealed that their new UI, and it's very, very similar to Destiny. Thoughts?
First of all, when I put this article in there, I wrote grr because I'm so fucking livid that if EA would have given them the tools and the time, we could have had this to begin with. Because first of all, these couple of clips and whatnot, yeah, it looks like Destiny. But you know what? You know who would have profited from another Destiny kind of game? Destiny and Anthem. Mm-hmm. Because, competition is really good. It gets the word out. It's like, hey, you talk about Anthem, you start bringing up Destiny. And then the communities are like, yeah, and then they make something. And then Destiny comes out with it. And, like, you start building upon these really good games. Because, I mean, this looks so good. The customization, the abilities, the melee styles, the talent trees.
The talent tree looks so good.
Oh, my God. Where was this when the game was supposed to come out?
It looks so good. And it just makes me wonder, like, how quickly did EA speed this up to where, like, to push Bioware to push this out?
It wasn't just that they sped it up; it's that they changed direction so many times. Which is something another game we're going to talk about here in a minute is probably suffering from a similar thing. But it's because they were like, we want this. Okay, start working on this. Okay, we liked that, but let's scrap that and keep this one aspect of it and turn it into this instead. And that happened a lot, and it was pretty obvious where that happened. Like, if you were playing Anthem, you could see where it's like, this was intended to work thusly, and then they decided they didn't like that for some reason. And I'm kind of wondering, with the tweaks and everything that they're making, because this is updating the UI and changing how your inventory system handles and things like that, they're tweaking stuff that, yes, needs to be fixed, but now that you've fixed that, what did you change about the content of the game itself for me that make me want to come back and try this out? I'm not going to come back and play your game just because your UI looks different. Like, have you expanded the world? Did you fix some of the problems? Do we have more of the story?
First of all, you got to let them handle one thing at a time.
But that's the problem.
Fixing the whole character customization thing was one of the main things this game was missing. Like, the gear was shitty, and the entire RPG aspect of it was out the window. Like, there was barely
I don't
any
disagree
RPG
with
in
you,
it.
but what good is the RPG aspect of it? You're like, I've got cool gear and stuff. If there's only 3 things for you to constantly go and redo.
Hey, and I hope that they address that and they fix it as it goes on, because that definitely they need to make a more interactive world, which is why I said dynamic, which it's a little there in the dynamic kind of content style, but the world needs to feel more alive. Like, there needs to be stuff going on in the world, and having what is it, 4 people in a world at a time?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They need to up the amount of people that can be in the world.
Well, because it feels like a dead world. I mean, you're supposed to be this, javelin pilot, and there's supposed to be a few other javelin pilots. And I think that's part of the problem that you run into, though, is they set up the lore to where there's not a lot of these javelin pilots out there, and the ones that are kind of few and far between and stand outish, which is why you're cool. But that really limits what you can do in that kind of open world setting. And if it's an open world and there's a chance that you're going to be out there by yourself doing whatever just alone, it feels a little dead in that aspect of it. Or if you are going to be out there alone, there should be more stuff for you to do. But instead it's like, these are the stagnant enemy camps. They will always be here. When you come and murder them, you can fly away and come back in 15 minutes and they'll all be back. It's the same NPCs over and over again. I mean, they didn't do anything to make it a vibrant world.
That is super generic across any game ever. You kill mob camp, you go away, you come back, mob camp is back. That's just how
it doesn't even change your
gameplay
objectives
works.
Or anything. Like, Destiny suffered from that a lot too, where it's like, here is your one area. These mobs will always be in these areas on this one map. So go and do this objective. But it's like, go and do this objective. Okay, well, I did this objective. I turned it back in. Okay, here's a new objective. So at least you kind of rotated the sameness around, but with this one, it doesn't even rotate it. It's like, here's literally all the objectives for this map are always the same.
In my opinion, they needed to put different forts in that go to different zones that you can basically, you're a mercenary. You go to, because your Fort Tarsus is your main one. Then you go to a different fort, which has a whole different open area, and you get to go do different ones. And then a different, like, you can basically take your javelin around depending on where the jobs are or where a javelin is needed. And you have these different zones that are huge that you can play in. Kind of like Destiny, where you have the different planets that you can go to. They needed a more variant environments, and they needed more dynamics in the environment, like Destiny.
Well, they need
because
more
playing
repeatable
it,
dungeons
like random
that have
shit
depth.
happens. Yes, the dungeons, I will say, were pretty fun.
The dungeons,
they were pretty
but
difficult,
they were all
but
tied
they were
to
kind of
story
fun.
content, and so once you did them, they were
Yes,
gone.
they were.
So it's
No,
like,
they weren't. You could go back and do them.
well, I didn't realize you could go back and do them. I thought that they were all like, as you progress through the story, it disappeared for that objective, so you could go back to it.
No, it just becomes
strongholds?
easier to do them as you progress through the story because you've now up. The dungeon doesn't change in difficulty. You do. You
can, because you can up the difficulty to max, which I think turns them all into skulls and whatnot. The higher you get, the more armor they get, and the higher level they get. Because I know there were a couple of times when we were max level and tried to do a couple of heroic ones. Ooh, remember the first time we flew in, because it was that one where you fly to the left and you go around. As soon as Red flew in, he got blasted and just went straight down. And I was like, whoa.
I mean,
okay,
as much as
let's
I
not
don't
do that.
want to do give EA any more money or anything, I really would like to see Anthem be one of those games that after a bit of a struggle, they are able to resurrect the game, and bring people back to it and things like that. That kind of resurrection is few and far between. A lot of times after, especially with something that was that hyped, after you have that initial bad taste in everybody's mouth, it's hard to convince them to come back. I mean, there's only a couple of games that I can think of off the top of my head. It'd be like No Man's Sky, because they've had a resurrection of their own, and Final Fantasy XIV, the online for that. That's huge now. But when it first came out, it had a whole bunch of problems. So
I think they could do it with Anthem, though, because, one, it's going to, if I'm not mistaken, Game Pass has EA Origin in it, or is it?
I think if it doesn't now, it's going to.
Okay, then they will be able to resurrect the game through players in Game Pass and EA Origin, because what is it to try it out if you have Game Pass? Nothing. Yeah. You just download it and you jump in and you try it out. Or if you already have EA Origin, you jump in, you try it out. It's good. Streamers start playing it. You get a little bit of a foundation community building up, and then you can build from that. Don't, because I doubt they're gonna hype it up a second time. They're just gonna be like, all right, we're done. We're releasing it. It's on Game Pass and Origin. Have fun.
If it's gonna be on Game Pass, go ahead.
I think if it's good enough, Microsoft themselves will end up hyping it up if it's on their Game Pass. I think Origin, I think EA is gonna be like.
I think EA has put as much money into it as they're going to, and that's why Bioware is doing what they can with it, and it's taking so long, because it's just Bioware. They don't have the backing from EA that they used to.
In January, it'll be 2 months. 2 years, sorry. 2 years from whence it came out.
It
I
is.
know,
If
right?
it's on
Seems
Game
like
Pass,
forever
though, it
ago.
is something that I'll probably have Kat install and take her through it because I think she would enjoy it. Like, the gameplay feels decent. It feels good. It just has so many bad things around it. The story wasn't long enough. It had too many things left undone, I guess, with intent
You
to
had some
do
decent
DLC.
characters that were part of the storyline. So
Yeah.
it's like,
I mean,
yeah.
you can tell where BioWare tried to shine, and EA basically, like, bashed them for it. So, I don't know.
Like, but now that they've gotten time to do it, it seems like they're going in the right direction. Because, like I said, the talent tree, it looks good. I love the idea of being able to outfit your javelin. Like, the ranger has 3 different classes that you can build it. You can build it as a captain, a longbow, or a soldier. And then based on which class you pick for your ranger, it'll give you 3 different full talent trees that emphasize your playstyle.
Ranger was my
Again,
life.
really good. I mean, I'd love to be a captain. I'm assuming that fucking gives like buffs to your teammates, and you know you get to kind of control the battlefield with CC and things like that. Like different play styles, because honestly, it was like Baka big guy, Baka jump in, slam, shoot rockets.
I
Every
did
time.
enjoy the color of my mech though.
Yes, they're your green monstrosity.
Yes.
Like green and orange and red and
Yeah, you were very colorful.
a little bit of blue.
Well, I would like for that game to have a resurrection, and it would be really neat to see in the far future them do an actual PvP mode, like multiplayer mode, where you could fight other javelins, like teams. That would be a lot of fun.
Please. Oh man, those huge mechs just slamming into each other.
I think the only reason you wouldn't see something like that though is because it would take so much effort to balance that, so that you didn't have like a goats setup where there's only one type that you can play and that's it, because everybody else is just gonna get crushed by them. I think it'd be hard to
That's why you
balance
have
it,
to
but
turn
that
it-
would be so fun. Mech combat, I want
That's
it.
why you don't. You go the WoW route and you don't do deathmatch. You do objective based. And then you can build GOAT comps for objectives based, but they're a lot easier to stretch apart than just straight death matches.
Yeah. All right. What else do we want to talk about? We've got another delay, 2 delays, and a director leaving, which is probably going to cause the delay if I had to guess.
no, it's not. If you read the article, I think it's going to be the exact same
I
amount of time.
skimmed it, but I
Basically,
haven't.
the director leaving. She's talking about Halo Infinite. It was announced that the director of the project has left. But back in when they announced the delay, they brought Joseph Staten back in to help with the game's campaign, which is the reason that part of it was being delayed in the first place. If you're not familiar with Joe Staten, he worked on the original Halo as he helped create the Halo Bible, which is the whole lore behind Halo. He's also written a few of the books. And so I think that once he got in there, that this director didn't have really anything to do. And I think Joe has kind of taken over that and they've moved, I think the guy's last name is Lee. They've moved him over
Chris Lee,
to other
yeah.
positions inside Microsoft. So.
It doesn't say that
Okay.
he moved to other stuff. He just said that he's stepping away and looking for future opportunities. So,
Step back.
yeah, it's I mean,
I
he
just
doesn't
read
say
it again.
anything about Microsoft moving him to another position.
Yeah, remain an employee within the wider company.
So, well,
All
we'll
right,
see.
so let's because there's also other Halo Infinite news, which has a lot of people like way up in arms, and I know it's going to be a minor thing, but as an old school Halo fan, which I like, okay, I can't say that I'm a super big fan of the original Halo, but as an old school Halo fan, part of the nice part of customization was being able to design your Spartan in the color scheme that you wanted, but you are not going to be able to do that anymore.
No, it's gonna
You
be.
can only color your Spartan with shaders now,
It'll be
like
very
in Halo or like in
Destiny-esque.
Destiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be glistening, and you're only going to have certain options. And if I'm not mistaken, you have to buy them too.
Yeah, because the multiplayer's free, so I guess that's going to be a microtransaction so that they can support it, I suppose.
Yes.
Which
Yes,
I
which
don't. I mean,
I'm not a
I don't,
fan
if
of.
you're gonna do a freestanding multiplayer, I understand that, but you're packaging this as a Halo game, which Halo's multiplayer has always been pretty intrinsical to it. Like, basically, you're looking at the campaign and the multiplayer. It's never been a separate entity. So I don't know why
they don't.
why the microtransactions so much. But if they're microtransactions, shaders is a weird choice, I guess, because you still can't
if you purchase the game, if your options of shaders is going to be more. Because if you're just getting the multiplayer, I think the problem we run into, this is part of the Call of Duty effect, right? Which is, you've got one of the most popular games that's out there when it comes to multiplayer, which is Call of Duty, which it used to be Halo 3 back in the day. Is, everybody's kind of moved to that, and so now they're thinking the only way that we're going to be successful is to create a free product for people to go into, where Call of Duty doesn't have a problem selling their multiplayer. We've got to get back into this to where people enjoy our multiplayer again, and then maybe we can sell it on the back end. But we still got to make money to be able to run the product. But I'm wondering if you buy the product because you're trying to get the campaign, which is why we've always bought it in the past, if they give you shaders to go along with that.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's one or two, where it's like, oh, you bought the game, so you get a shader for that, and you've completed the campaign, so you get a shader for that, and that's it. Like, right. Maybe one or two shaders that are tied to achievements. You found all the skulls, here's your shader, because they gave you before, perks for finding skulls and things like that. So I can see that, but I don't think it's gonna be like, you've unlocked 80% of the shaders because you bought the campaign, because then they couldn't sell it to you as a microtransaction. And I think that that's really what they're gonna do with that, is that it's a way to support the multiplayer for being free for, reasons. It's bizarre. I don't like it.
I'm fine with it if it was a BR style system that they had set up and having that part free. Same thing Call of Duty's doing, right? So you have Warzone that's completely free, but their actual multiplayer you're charging for. That's the way it should be done. If you're going to do it, and to be fair, the way that we played Halo 3 is set up very similar to the way it was for for Battle Royale, which is the fact that all the maps, all the guns and stuff were on the map.
Yeah.
You knew where they were at, and you went to go get them. So that was the predecessor to what is now a BR. And so I don't understand why, if, because they're, whether they have a BR or not, we really don't know. But if they were going to do it, I could see that being free and then still charging for the multiplayer as part of the campaign game. But I guess if your game's already included in Game Pass, what the fuck does it matter?
True.
You know what I mean? Because nobody's paying $60 for this game. The whole game's free if you have Game Pass.
It's true.
So, I guess they got to make their money up somewhere. But
I mean,
I don't know. This is a very weird format. We're in a weird
up.
part for games.
Yeah, I feel like shaders in a game like that is not the way to go. If you want it, like in Halo Reach, I think that's the first time that you could do it's sort of a microtransaction-y thing, and I can't remember if you could actually spend money to unlock some of these or not, if it was all just in-game credits. But they had things like the armor, like I had a little heart with wings that I unlocked with credits in-game, not money. And there was one that was storm, so it had like lightning effects on your armor, or there were specific armor pieces, or things like that. Like, there were different vanity items that you could unlock with money, and I want to say that you could actually spend real money to unlock them, but I can't remember. I think that's probably the way to go, because you still had the option to color your Spartan any way that you wanted, and there were certain things that you unlocked, basically by playing the campaign or doing things in multiplayer, but you could charge for some of the superfluous stuff. Like, you could change the voice for your match narrator and things like that. Do that. Don't be like, here's your shaders because Destiny's popular and we know it, or is it some weird like callback to the fact that Bungie was the original developer of Halo and then made Destiny, so they're like, the people that you like so much that made this franchise that you like so much made these things in their other game, don't you like this?
That also makes me wonder if how you're going to be able to unlock them in game too, by the amount of hours and stuff that you play. You're
how much of
those
the
amount of credits.
Microtransaction stuff can you actually unlock without microtransactioning?
Right, or it could be separate. Like there's sometimes like you have battle passes, right, with a lot of these BR with a lot of the multiplayer in the BRs now. So you have a battle pass, and you can purchase the battle pass, and that'll unlock a certain amount of points. But the more you play, the more things you unlock. So it could be where it's one of those type things too. So you're unlocking shaders through a battle pass type system,
Yeah.
Which is not necessarily a microtransaction because you can unlock just by playing the game. But at the same time, if you want to progress quickly, which some people do, they'll pay the extra money for it.
Yeah. I don't know. Infinite's gonna be. I feel like Infinite is Halo's Anthem, where it was for Bioware. You have to make this successful. I feel like it's the same thing for Halo at this point. Like, a lot's riding on Infinite being good. And I think that if Infinite is not good and does not wow people, that legendary Halo is so important to video games feeling is going to drop off significantly, because there's been such a downslide in opinion towards Halo specifically as a franchise since, like, Halo 4. And it's not, I mean, not everything that they've done is bad. They just haven't done enough good that people stick around for it anymore.
Yeah, it hasn't been as like hype and masterful as the previous ones, which if I wish I could find it, but there was a really nice article from the inner workings of 343 when they started working on Halo 4. It was basically they brought in the people who tried to modernize it, because when they were first working on it, they went more like the old school style and whatnot, and it was doing okay with internal reviews. But when they brought in people to, they had their vision of what a modern Halo, they started tearing it apart and rebuilding it in a modern version, which, to be fair, the Halo 4 story was super good.
It could have been better,
but it made Cortana it's been long enough, a good enough villain to where you saw the degradation and it humanized Chief. And in 5, they just basically threw that shit out the window.
Yeah,
like, all right, cool, let's go ahead and start over.
Well, we didn't. It was because we didn't have a 4.5. We had a comic book to finish the storyline.
Which is, first of all, completely unacceptable for a Halo title. And when they tried to modernize the game, like they did in Halo 5, for some reason telling two different stories and making Chief like the fake the fake bad guy or some shit. I don't know.
To be fair, Halo 2 told two different stories too.
Yeah, but it told two stories that we gave a damn about.
They were combining together.
Yeah,
because it eventually linked, which I think they might have tried to do in Halo 5, but failed at it.
I think they wanted us to attach to Locke so that they could pass the story off to him, but it didn't work that way. Like, you didn't give us enough to... I think both 4 and 5 suffered from... We understand as writers where we're going with this, so we're going to move it along really quickly, but for the people that are experiencing the story, some of it's too jarring for it to make sense. I mean, like, with 4, it was Cortana going from, she's degrading to she's the bad guy, and the problem with that... The reason that's so jarring is because you spent most of 3 attempting to rescue her. So you had just gotten back, you'd just gotten her back, and now she's the bad guy. And then you swap to Locke.
You just got her back several years ago, because Chief was, if I'm not mistaken, was out floating for a while with her by herself. What I'm saying is, you had this, cohesive story, and the writers go, we know what's going on here, so they skipped over parts because they know what it is. And contextually, you can kind of string it together, but you didn't experience it, so it is a little jarring. And it is 100% the Anthem effect, too, where the people making it were not.
Yeah, there was a lot of, I want this thing, I want this thing, and then trying to sandwich that together in the game itself, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. Because I think there was some new stuff in, Halo 4 and 5, new weapons and new abilities and things like that worked fine. It's just some of the things surrounding them or how we got to those things that were a little questionable. And so we'll have to see how they handle that in Infinite.
I was hoping for 5, with Cortana gone, that we would have really seen a humanized Chief kind of, be able to fight to pull himself back from being just a soldier to a human. Watching his transition
that's too deep of a story, though, is probably exactly what they thought about it. That's too introspective.
But, that is exactly where you needed to go with that. In Halo 1, 2, and 3, he was just a super soldier, led on a one-man mission, and that was it. In 4, he lost his best friend, his soulmate, if you will. Like, she died or disintegrated, eventually went crazy, and he had to do what he had to do. So he has to fight with his humanity to figure out who he is instead of just a soldier. But unfortunately, they were like, comic book, let's do something else. Cortana's okay. It's like,
But the
oh,
thing
you
that kills
made it
me
so
about it
interesting.
is the two, with the librarian, the didact, the people that they brought in for that storyline, like those books I've read, they are fan-fucking-tastic.
It could have
they are
been so good.
on their
It
origin.
could have been
I'm
good.
like, oh, this would be so good to head into 5 with these, because I'm like, when you got you've got all this other stuff, it's like you're gonna build this, it's gonna be great, and then I get to 5 and I'm like, why is she the villain? Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, what happened. Like, I know there's a comic book thing that happened in between, but how did you just jump that quickly?
Yeah.
And it's just
it
it's
kills
so stupid.
me.
It just,
Yeah,
it
it's because they
kills
just
me.
tried to modernize it too hard and just basically just swung it, and the story suffered
Here's
so
the problem,
hard
and
for
this is something that even we can harken back to the first thing that we talked about, which was Vampire the Masquerade doing the Battle Royale, is games at this point see what's trendy, and so many of them try to leave their, like, stay in your lane. They try to leave their genre to attach to whatever's cool at the moment, but the problem is when you start trying to develop for what's cool, one, you lose your identity of what you are and what makes you special as a franchise, and two, by the time that you've actually developed it, what if that trend is over? What if you're spending all of this time and resources on a trend that you're chasing, that by the time your game is finally ready for launch, you either, one, launch it broken and early because you're trying to catch on to the tail end of that trend, or that trend is already gone. Like, BRs are still a thing,
76.
but it's waning. And if, Halo is trying to be Call of Duty, what makes it Halo? Why do you need to be Halo? We already have Call of Duty. Because it's a sci-fi shooter instead of the real thing? Well, let me tell you, Call of Duty is not exactly the most realistic shooter at this point anyway. They've dabbled in sci-fi. We had jetpacks at one point, and there's like crazy stuff popping out of loot boxes now.
Well, and there's a reason they don't. There's a reason they don't have jetpacks now, is because those particular people said, we don't want Halo, we want boots on the ground.
And that's the thing is, too many games are
Ugh.
trying to be what they're not because they're trying to chase a trend to stay relevant. And it's like, if you can be relevant and be yourself, if you just be yourself very well, you have to know what you are. And if you try to be everything, you're nothing and nobody cares. That's the thing you can apply to your freaking life. If you try to be everything, then you're nothing.
Ugh. Exactly. And that is exactly why this game is not called Halo 6.
that
It's
on
called
a
Halo
shirt.
Infinite. Because if it was Halo 6, people would be like, no. And I still remember the day they announced Halo 4. I was like, oh, another trilogy. I can't fucking wait. This is going to be, if it's even half as good as the original trilogy,
were pumped.
it's going to be amazing.
Because me and you and Baka
then-
and Red all got that the day it came out. We were so ready for that to be another, like, life-changing story that we were jumping into, and it was not.
And it was pretty good. Well, it was pretty good,
was
which I was like,
pretty
all
good,
right,
yeah.
cool, solid foundation.
Compared to
And
the
then
original
when
3,
Halo-
it is not as good, but it's still good.
Yeah, it's
No.
still
Yeah,
good.
it was a good foundation. And then when Halo 5, like when they showed off Halo 5, I was like,
Let me tell you, I've never finished Halo 5. I started
I
it.
don't
It
blame
was
you.
I
on-
never
I
finished
was
Halo
never.
5.
I was like, I don't
didn't
care.
even play it.
So
well, as a Halo fan, I needed to experience it so that I could have a valid opinion on it.
yeah, I had Chicken tell me everything that happened.
Gameplay was good. Plotline, if
Gameplay
it had been
was
any
good.
other villain, would have been fine. Like if we
If it would have
started
been
this as
consistent from
Yes.
4 to 5, it would have been better. It would have been fine. But they literally was like, slice, here's a new game.
Yep.
It's like, what is this? Why is this 5? Like, what? It would have been Halo 4 and then Halo something else and then Halo something. It's like, where does 4? Why if 4 is not part of the main trilogy? You literally went 1, 2, 3, time skip 4, and then floated off into the cloud space somewhere.
But
It's
I'm
like,
worried
what
that
the
that's
fuck
what
are
we're
we
going to be doing
doing?
with Infinite too. Like, what are we doing at this point in the story of Infinite? We've solved so many problems. There's another Halo. Okay. Master Chief is seriously should not be the protagonist of this. Because Master Chief has had his day
To
in the
be
sun.
fair, the comic book thing, it's not the only game that's done it.
No, it's
Mortal
not. And
Kombat
every
has
game
done
that
as
does
well.
it needs to stop it.
Imagine in a perfect world where Halo 4 was the foundation of the next trilogy. Halo 5 deals with the humanity that Chief has to face in himself. And then Halo
while
6...
battling with the librarian and the diadact
Yeah.
Yep.
and that plot line.
And then Halo 6 kind of wraps that up, and then Chief finally has, like, comes to terms with what he is, and at the end, he fucking takes off his helm and sets it down, and just, that's it, he's done. He's no longer a soldier.
If you wanted to keep the series going, by the time that he's grappled with his own humanity and has kind of come to terms with how everything is, there's a young protege that he's taken kind of under his wing, because he's getting older. Let's not even lie. I get that he's a genetically enhanced super soldier, but he's still a man. I mean, he's got a finite amount of time that he can run and jump the way that he can, even with the help of his suit.
Well, here's the thing, is they've never planned to do that with Locke. Locke literally is the same age. Like, if you saw the man that's playing Locke, he's the same age. There's no younger
Chief needed to have run into a young, idealistic, person that had been exposed to the enhancements that he had somehow, legally or not, and be like, let me show you the ways, because it destroyed me, and I don't want you to be destroyed too. And then you have your next series protagonist, so that you can keep the Halo name and give it a subtitle.
You could have introduced him in 5, have Chief save him, and then just make him an in and out character through 5, where you just start seeing him in places, and he really admires Chief for saving his life, and Chief begins to attach to this human instead of the AI, and he starts seeing the more human side of him, and he develops this storyline, and then in 6 it becomes like, a couple of years later, and this guy has, started training with Chief and is part of Chief's crew, because, he's Master Chief, he's going to have his own squad.
Yeah.
And then in 6, he finally retires and he's done, and he lets his new protege take over his group, and we get to see the finale that is Master Chief, and you continue the story of Halo. Oh my god, why is that so hard?
I feel like that's the thing that a lot of
breaks my
franchises
heart.
miss out on. It's like, if you want to continue your franchise, acknowledge that your main character is getting older. There are plenty of times, like Gears tried to do it, where they're like, okay, in Gears 4, here's JD, who's Marcus's kid, and Marcus is out of the game. Oh, but wait, we gotta bring Marcus back into it, because everybody swears that a Gears of War game is nothing without Marcus Phoenix. So, JD and his posse
But I'm fine with that, because it's like, it's almost like it's round, instead of its sharp ending, it's rounding it out.
It tries to round it, but you still, tried to shoehorn it in there enough, and then they made the choice to swap main characters altogether, which I don't 100% have a problem with swapping main characters on that. I just think it was a jarring way to do
that
it.
I think is weird. Like, they do the old bait and switch. It's like, JD is the son of Marcus
character.
Phoenix, and then you have his friend, I can't remember her name, and about halfway through the story, it basically just takes a quick twist, and it's like, JD is nothing anymore, and this is your new main character. It's like, what?
Her story is now way more
happened?
important than your story. And it's like,
like JD literally just gets pushed to the sideline.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the social dynamic at the time, wasn't that during the Me Too movement? And
it was
asking
right.
for stronger female characters?
Yeah, people wanted, and I don't have a problem with strong female characters. I was fine with Kate being important. It's just, like, once you met her and some of the stuff that surrounds her character joining into JD's group, because it's JD and his other buddy, whose name I cannot remember, I'm sorry, she joins in, and as soon as she's a playable character, because Chicken and I co-opted, I was like, she's going to be the new series protagonist. I don't know how this is going to play out, but she's going to be the new series protagonist, because they're setting up this tragic backstory for her. And then she's in the next game, she's the main character, and I was like, I mean, I get it, but it's weird. You spent that whole...
Yeah.
last game kind of setting this up, so at least there's context around it, but it was very much like, there were a lot of cliches about it that I didn't care for. But she was a strong female character, so that's good.
Yeah, but it was too much, it was too edgy when it comes to the storytelling. Like, it wasn't told evenly enough. It just kind of was like, this and then this.
Yeah, there were a lot of
this,
story beats,
and then this,
and you could see the beats too clearly. It didn't.
There
wasn't enough.
It didn't feel like it flowed really well. It really was like, oh, and a cliff, and a cliff.
Yeah.
And a cliff. It's like, okay, I'm getting really tired of this shit. Can we have a really evenly told story? It's like, people, as the years have gone on, I will say that the general storytelling of games have really declined. Like, it is hard to get really, really well told, even spaced stories these days.
Well, I know
and that's me as an old man yelling at the video game developers, going, "God damn it!
I know we're dragging on and everything. But there were another couple of delays. Ubisoft is delaying Far Cry 6 And Rainbow Six Quarantine, which the irony of that name does not miss me at all, because I'm sure that's part of why we're having to delay it.
Yep.
But I'm not surprised. Ubisoft's, any AAA game at this point, I feel like across the board you can go, they've given me a release date. That's a suggestion. I would not ever, like, as soon as it's announced for a release date, don't take your days off then. Wait till closer to the time, and then take your time off once you know it's happening. Because I think at this point they're all suggestions. But that's getting pushed to next fiscal year. Financial year, which will be sometime between April 2021 and March of 2022.
Which is so funny to hear.
That is a large
Somewhere
window.
next year.
But it's because they're not giving a new actual date.
It's probably because they don't know, because
how could you know?
Estimate how quick it's going to take, right?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, how could you know? So not surprising.
And I think it's smart not to give a date now at this point.
Yeah.
Because I mean, look at Cyberpunk. That was like, okay, well, we're 21 days. You know, we're now going to add an extra 21 days from the last date we set, and that was like the second time they delayed. So
I would not
like they've given themselves 3 weeks each time. They're like, all right, 3 weeks now, 3 more weeks, 3 more. Okay, 6 more weeks.
What did you say, Baka? I didn't hear you over chicken.
I said then they'll get death threats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another reason that at this point I wouldn't give concrete dates for anything. Like, if you don't 100% know as a developer that your game is going to launch in like a 3-month window, don't give a date. Just be like, coming soon, or give that ambiguous, like, you announce it in January and you go coming holiday, because that gives you all year to work on it, just in case.
Do like some companies do, and don't even announce anything about the game until you're almost ready.
See, that's what I would do.
Yeah,
don't even start building.
Do what EA did, and basically be like, here's oh shit, what's the 3? Shit, what's that BR game? Oh my god, I can't. I'm drawing a blank.
Which one?
I don't know. From EA, it's the no
Battlefield.
Apex.
Apex,
yeah,
yes,
like,
that one. I was like, it starts with an A. I can't think of it. Do what they did with Apex, and basically the day of, they're like, "Hey guys, we got a BR, and it's released."
Yeah.
And everyone's like,
I mean, I would say you could
Cool.
give yourself a couple months beforehand to announce a date, but until then, don't. Just say coming soon and let it go. Or you do what Cyberpunk did, which is, spent the past 3 years building straight hype, even though it's been 8 years since it was originally announced. They've spent the past 3 years building legit hype for it. And now it's so hyped that it has to live up to it, and we're struggling. So, just say be a little more careful about that.
Yep. The other part of that is that they're also implementing a culture transformation, which they are putting into place actions and resources necessary to address issues. Compulsory anti-sexism and anti-harassment training has been now implemented and has been undertaken by 75% of its entire staff globally, which is super good.
Yeah,
it's nice to see
but they're
some
having to.
progress
Ubisoft
being
is in
made.
damage
But isn't
control
it like
right now.
6 months late?
Yeah,
Like, when all
Ubisoft's in
this stuff
damage
originally came
control
out?
at the moment, and
Hey,
they're doing what they
the
can.
best thing
but
that I could say is that change takes time.
Yeah.
Nobody is better overnight. So.
What else is getting delayed? Everspace 2? Is that the one that delayed itself because it was trying to avoid the Cyberpunk window?
Yeah. They're like, we're not going to try to fake it. We have to move because we can't compete with Cyberpunk.
Yeah. I mean,
I
that's
don't
a good
blame
thing,
them.
too,
It's
but
not
I
a bad
think
idea.
I think that's a scary thing,
That
when you're
just-
basing your launch window around somebody else's launch window and their launch window keeps moving.
They're going to chase you. They're going to be like, all right, let's push them back again and again and again. And then they're going to be like, all right, just kidding. Since they moved, we're going to go back to our previous one and we're ready to release now.
This actually works out good for gamers too, because there was no big releases in December.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's a lot of releases in November. So this actually works out good gaming wise. So a lot of people can go in November, especially with the new consoles coming out, play what they want to, and then December you've got Cyberpunk that's going to come out. So I think that'll work out good.
Speaking of the new consoles, PS5, remember how we talked about that there was going to be third parties selling the plates for that because they look like they pop off and you can sell cute ones. Yeah, a company tried and Sony's like, no, you don't. So I guess Sony's planning to corner the market on that too, because I guarantee you they're going to sell,
They included it as
new
part of their
ones.
patent.
Yeah. Like,
Their licensing. Like, it's like, Okay,
Wow.
that means they're gonna sell it. And we've had this discussion before. I don't think it was here. I think it was in a chat in Discord. But basically, we had the discussion of what's a good price for these.
Yeah.
And I said, if Sony sells them, they're gonna be $50.
Yep.
But they should be 20 or 30, something like that. Because
that was what I said.
Yeah, they should be 20, 30, but they're gonna be $50 because Sony sits there and does this, guaranteed at least $50.
Yep.
For plates.
Yep.
As
They're
much
not
as a
gonna be a
brand
third
new
party.
game.
They're gonna do it where like a new big game comes out, like another God of War or something, and they'll release plates for it.
Well, that's what they did with the stickers that you could put on consoles, like the decals previously, because my 360's
For
got the
the
decal
PS.
for Resident Evil on it. So
They will
PS3
sell
did
them
that
with
as well.
the game.
probably
They
you
will
could
sell
probably
them
get a
with the game
package.
for collector's editions. Hell yeah,
Yep.
it's gonna make them so much more desirable. Like,
Yeah.
Sony.
Well, but to be fair, I mean, think how long it's taken somebody to do this, like legit do this. You could do it with the 360 because you could pop off all the stuff on it, right? But you had like Sony's never really had an option for this, except for on the PS4, you had that one plate that could pull off and you could change that out.
Yeah. Not really worth
But
it.
you never really had a full option like this before. Now the entire unit's going to look different. And for all the people that are like, I don't want a white one, they now have an option not to have a white one. They can
But it's
literally
Sony
just,
controlled,
because
so it's gonna
if you're
be-
smart day one, Sony puts out black ones in guaranteed.
Well,
and people are going to
day
buy.
one, Sony should put out several colors. There should be black, blue, pink, red, and like a camo one maybe. You know, something like that would tie into a Call of Duty-esque kind of deal. So that you've got a few options. And Sony is going to, like, they will sell 100%. They're going to sell for
yeah.
whatever they cost. People will buy them, which is kind of sad because Sony knows that. If they're the only ones that are going to be able to sell them, it's going to be expensive.
And if you're smart, you hire some of the artists that are on like Twitter and Instagram and places like that have already made mock-up ones that they've done.
Sony's not
And
going
you
to do
hire
that.
them and just give them a cut.
Sony's just
you know?
going to steal their ideas so they don't have to share that cut.
Yeah, probably.
Well,
Probably so.
I gotta get out of here. 'cause
Anything else?
I've just downloaded a whole bunch of new mods. I talked to Snitty this week because he played with us the other day, and we spent like half an hour doing nothing but talking about Skyrim mods. So I have new mods to go try out in my Skyrim game. None of them, I have not changed my dragon into Thomas the Train. I'm not gonna do it before you ask. It's not happening.
I don't understand why you wouldn't do it, but whatever.
In my first playthrough, because I want the dragons to actually inspire awe in me, instead of it being like, oh my god, look, there's a train in the sky. I haven't downloaded any
That's
stupid
pretty
mods.
awful.
Mine are
Get it
all.
awful. Ah.
Get out of here. I'm gonna go play that now. I've been thinking about it all week.
We appreciate everybody that hangs out with us each and every week in Infinite Respawn. As always, you can check us out on Twitter at InfiniteResPC. You can check me out personally at MDB Oaktree. Check out Grif.
At Grif Slidem.
Check out Chicken.
And Elite Chicken 313.
Check out Baka.
Baka Pickle.
Also, make sure you go to Grif's YouTube channel that she just mentioned. Go on there, watch the Skyrim stuff, also the past stuff, the like 7 million hours that she had in.
I'm just
in
gonna
Red
turn
Dead
my
2.
channel into nothing but long plays so that it's every game you have to commit like a decade to watching.
There you go.
It's
Make
pretty
sure you hit
close.
that sub button on her as well as the little bell. Now that she's posting again, that way you can know when she posts. It's usually a couple times a week. So
I'll try.
awesome sauce. Also, make sure you go to twitch.tv/Elite Chicken 313. Well, Chicken will be starting hopefully next week.
Yeah, hopefully next week in a good mood.
We'll see.
But we'll see. Well, we'll see.
We'll be starting back up on streaming. Also, if you follow him on Twitter, hopefully he'll start tweeting out when he goes live, and then you'll know anyway. Either way.
What's that? Never heard of it.
Shut up.
What's
Never
a
heard of
Twitter?
Oh, is it Twitter? Okay, my bad. It's not like I'm looking at it right now.
Make sure that you go to twitch.tv/MDB Oaktree as well, where you can check me out each and every week. Usually every day, except for Wednesdays. You know, where I try to play video games and stuff. Where tonight I'll be playing with Chicken, actually. As well as our friend No Pants, so should be fun. Where we shoot dinosaurs. Woohoo!
You know, I'm a dinosaur kind of guy. Except when they shoot fireballs, then I've got a problem with them.
Well, we'll see
Because
how
then they're
much
probably
of a
shooting them
problem
at
you
me.
have.
They are shooting at you. They didn't shoot him, by the way. They only shot at me. But anyway.
Hey, that's fine. That works. As long as they're shooting at somebody else, I'm good.
For him to respawn, I'm Oak Tree.
I'm Grif.
I'm Chicken.
I'm Baka.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Please hang up and try again.